Very good.
Good afternoon, John Donovan.
Hi, Marty Keller.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Intentional Living Podcast. My friend and mentor, John Donovan, down in Oceanside, California. I'm here in Sacramento. And this is our occasional conversation, our ongoing conversation about the intentional living process. And what is that, you may ask? Well, it's about noticing and breaking patterns of behavior, compulsive behavior when I have a thought in mind, I don't do that, and I do it anyway. Or equally, on the other side, I may have a thought in mind, you got to do that, and I don't do it. So
Right.
there's what is it about human beings that, particularly, what is it about me that generates that inner conflict where I feel compelled to do something even when my mind goes, don't do that, as if there's a disconnect or even a civil war between my emotional body and my mental body. So we're here to demystify these behaviors. That's John's great line, demystifying behaviors. And so John and I have been engaged in this conversation for over 5 years now. And for those of you who would like to check it out, the archive is on our YouTube Intentional Living channel, and you can access all of the conversations that John and I have been having on this since the beginning.
Mhm.
John, we've been over the last 2 or 3 months, we've been having an ongoing conversation about what we call the accountability principles, and we've gone through the first four. I'm going to put them up on the share screen so that our people watching with us can see what we're talking about. We'll leave these up for a few minutes as we get started. We've and so again, for those of you who would like to check it out, we've had a conversation about the first principle here. I'm always getting what I want, and we discussed the nuances. I'm always getting what I want, either in my conscious mind or my subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And this goes to what we talked about, or what I talked about in our introduction, compulsive behaviors. If I'm doing something and my conscious mind says don't do it, that must mean somewhere in my subconscious mind there's a desire to do it anyway. So check that podcast out. Then the next one is it's never about the other person. This involves when I have a complaint about something or somebody's not doing what I want them to. I might want to just examine whether that's about the other person or is it really about me. And and then a larger focus, the next principle, the issue is not the issue. Usually that means whatever it is I'm complaining about or I'm frightened of, it's probably not the real issue. There's probably something else going on. And in that podcast, we talked about how to access that uh, underlying subconscious issue. Then the last couple of podcasts, we talked about people treat me the way I want them to. And this one also, I shouldn't say always, most of these cause consternation when we first encounter them because they're so counterintuitive to what we've assumed in our
Right.
lives before we got here. Um, but the people treat me the way I want them to means that you know I've trained people in some kind of subconscious way to if I have low self-esteem, I've trained people to treat me as if I have low self-esteem or to verify my
Right.
self-belief. And that led us into a podcast, the last podcast we did, where we talked about your insight about what we have love confused with, and that involves our childhood experience. We come born into the world ready to love, and we've talked in this podcast, and Dan and I have talked about in our other podcast about attachment theory. John Bowlby and the post-war psychologists in London who actually did the um, experiments on attachment. We're come prepared to attach, and so whatever the experience we have as infants with our usually our mom, our primary caregiver, that's what we're going to have love to be at a fundamental emotional level. Well, if it isn't satisfying, if it's got violence in it, if it's got um, intermittency in it, then we're going to have love confused with I think you said last time, John, you had love confused with rejection.
Yeah.
So if we experience rejection as infants, then that's what we're going to seek as adults when we're looking to be loved.
Right.
And I had a version of that, love equals I'm all alone. And so before I learned this work, if you started getting too close to me, I would find some way to cut it off. So those are the first four. Before we move on to the next one, any comments or observations that you'd like to add to my summary?
We've gone over it, and yeah, there's volumes of things I'd like to add that keep coming to mind every time we mention one of these. But let's go ahead and move on. I think it'll come out in the wash when we do the
Sure.
next one.
Sure. Okay. So the next one is the quality of my life is determined by the focus of my attention. The quality of my life is determined by the focus of my attention. What is it? What does that mean to you, John?
Well, if I'm feeling any kind of discord on a continuous basis, or I talk about being miserable or life is miserable, that is based on the focus that I have in my total consciousness. I'm going to bring up what I call the board. I'm going to share the board. And here on the 5 constants of relationship, first constant is focus. I'll make it just a little bit bigger. Okay. So this is where that statement came from. If I don't have a conscious focus, like when I get in my car, I create a conscious focus. I intend to be a defensive driver. I intend to be kind and courteous on the road. I intend to one of the biggest things and the biggest opportunity for me driving my car is owning my projections of what I think of the other drivers. My focus, if I don't have a conscious focus or an intent, that's number 5 today, I intend to, my subconscious has a focus. And that's what we talked about. I'm always getting what I want. And the example I used last week was I was in an argument with my ex-wife, and in the middle of the argument, she said, "You want me to call you crazy?" And of course, I told her, "That's crazy. I don't want you to call me crazy." And we argued. And then finally she blurted out, "Okay, John, here it is. You're crazy." And a little voice in my head popped up and goes, "See, told you." And I got it, that something in me that I wasn't aware of enabled me to posture in a way where they, and not just her, but everybody in my life would think there was something off with me. I'm crazy. How? And I didn't have a conscious focus about how I saw myself. So the subconscious focus will manifest. And it manifested in that situation where she called me crazy, and I got it that, oh my God, I am saying crazy shit. I was saying some crazy stuff. You know, how you get in an argument, somebody says something, then you bring something else up to deflect the argument, and
Right.
It's crazy. Okay. I was doing that. And when she called me crazy, it was like affirmation. Okay, okay, you proved to me I'm right again. So if I don't have a conscious intent or focus, my subconscious has a focus. And whatever focus you have, conscious or subconscious, I was in church one day, and the minister said, "There's one thing you cannot not do." And I perked up. Okay, what is that? And the next word out of her mouth was manifest. And I got it. If I'm not conscious, I am manifesting from my subconscious. So that need to be called crazy or prove myself right, for whatever reason, from my childhood trauma, ended up as a result. Okay, so now I don't come to this podcast without a conscious focus. I don't go into the rooms as a facilitator without a conscious focus. When I get in my car, I have a conscious focus. When I go into the store, I have a conscious focus. And that enables me to stay what I call lucid in my everyday life. I used to go through life without a conscious focus. I got to go to the store, and then I'd meet people who were like getting in my way, fiddling with their change to pay the cashier, and how come they didn't do that before they got in the line, and I felt myself in duress or stress or what I used to call angry, resentful, bitter, contempt, and put a lot of stress on my body. Now I create a conscious focus because I know I'm a manifester. Oh, and if I'm not conscious about the manifestation, whatever's in my subconscious needs to be expressed. It will come, and I call it coming out sideways. If in my subconscious I don't believe I deserve wealth, comfort, and it's like that's not a rational thought. That is the reality of my inner child. When I was growing up, I don't deserve um, clean. Well, I had one pair of shoes. My dad bought us one pair of shoes at the beginning of the school year, and they lasted until the beginning of the next school year. They were Mason shoes. He bought them out of a catalog, and we had to make those last. So, in that experience, I deserve one pair of shoes. Okay, so as an adult, I'm like in this belief system. I don't even know it exists, and I'm wearing shoes with holes in them and tattered. And all I gotta do is go down to the store and buy another pair of shoes. Like right now, I'm looking at my closet, and there's like racks of shoes because I get to have shoes. So that's what we mean. The quality of my life is determined by the focus of my attention. The first constant is focus, pay attention. Pay attention to what? The results, where I find myself. Because where I find myself is a manifestation from my consciousness, always. In my book, period. I cannot be at a place that I'm not manifesting somehow. And I'm talking about this second obstacle, beliefs, the beliefs I have about myself, perceptions about how I see myself in relationship to other people, and the patterns of behavior. Pre-recovery, the patterns of behavior with codependency, addiction, or some type of avoidant behavior, and I'll qualify those as rageaholic, workaholic. In these patterns, thinking it was normal. Oh, I got into recovery and I discovered that I had a pool of unresolved trauma, complex post-traumatic stress, that was driving my decision-making process and behaviors, which ended me up here. Oh, so now I own this, own where I'm at, and in the context of this conversation, create a conscious focus about what I want. And when I first got into recovery, I didn't know how to say this. I wanted to be normal. I know how to say that now. I want to heal whatever's keeping me from manifesting authentically, which is anything in my past, complex post-traumatic trauma. And that's what we've been doing. So now I know. So right now, after 37 years of recovery, 27 years of putting this accountability process together, I know right now in this moment, whatever my perception is a direct result of my total consciousness. So if I like where I'm at, I keep doing what I was doing. If I see myself as discordant or I'm getting into an obsessive thought, I go, oh, that's okay. I can go back into my subconscious through the methods we have, which is accountability tree, dropping into the feeling, taking a breath, validating whatever the feeling is instead of trying to get rid of it or fix I don't need to be fixed. I need to be attended to. So that's why the focus, pay attention. And you probably have a question or two or a observation. I would like
Well,
to
yeah,
hear it.
thanks for that. My observation is about the mechanism of focus, and because human beings, my experience of myself as a human being is that I can either be focused or I can be out of focus.
Right.
It's easy for me to do either, and that's what I want to point out is that we can create focus like that. It's not
Yeah.
hard. In fact, it's automatic. And I'd like to do this in group. It's like, okay, just focus on the feeling of your left foot.
Yeah.
And so until that moment, none of us was paying any attention to the feeling in our left foot. But the minute I say focus on the feeling in your left foot, boom, it's there. You didn't have to send out for it. You didn't have to call Grubhub or anything. You just focus. And so the power of focus is an automatic human gift, as is the other side of it. Just unfocus. You can drift off. The mind can.
Right.
I mean, we experience that particularly in a meditation practice, where we notice how easy it is for us to go out of focus. And so first of all, I just wanted to raise how simple it is to create focus. It's just a matter of choice. I intend to focus, which you said that you can now use that. You've learned to use the power of focus and the power of intention as allies in creating the quality of your experience. The quality of my life is determined by the focus of my attention. So that was the first thing I wanted to just point out. Focus is automatically available to us. The second thing to point out is this question of quality. And this is not a word we use a lot in our accountability discussions, but you implied it in what you shared, and I just again want to make it explicit. So because quality of my life is determined by my measurement of what quality is.
Correct.
The quality in my life may not feel exactly the same as you feel the quality in your life. So
Correct.
each of us might want to spend a little bit put a little bit of focus on what we mean by quality. And quality for me is manifestation. You use that word. So manifestation, for those of you who don't know what we mean when we use that word, it's just what are we creating? What are we manifesting? What's showing up in our lives by virtue of our thought process? For me, it came down to what I've learned by doing this work with you for all these years into this. I intend to create a world of joy, peace, freedom, community, and health. So the quality of my life is based on how much of those experiences show up in my life on a daily basis. How much freedom, how much joy, how much peace, how much health, how much community, which is a word for love, am I experiencing? And if I'm finding a dip in any of those experiences, what's the focus of my attention?
Exactly.
I just learn, what am I focusing on? Or perhaps I'm just out of focus.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can make a choice to focus on something that, again, based on whatever's going on in the moment, like you said, this is a moment to moment. Life is lived moment to moment. And so whatever I was experiencing in the moment when we started this podcast is long gone, and I'm just in this moment.
Right.
And so these tools are available to us in each moment because each moment is new, even though it's also it's a continuity out of the earlier moment.
Correct.
So this may sound convoluted to the newcomer, and I forgive me for that. It's just the simple point is we can create focus by intending to do it.
Here's an example of the quality of my focus. I remember when I first got into recovery, somebody was talking about what they value, what their values are. And my first thought was to reach in my pocket and see how much change I had or my wallet, value money.
Right.
So my focus, I never contemplated what I valued. I just took value as worth and money, and I knew that by my reaction to the statement. You know, I'm looking at what I value in my life, and my first instinct was to reach into my pocket and see value. And with that experience, I began to consider, okay, what do I value? Self, God, family, community, masculinity. There were things that came into focus now that weren't even on the screen
Right.
before. I was just automatically moving through life, doing what I thought was the right thing to do: get a job, provide for your family, have fun on the weekend, which meant to me is, buy a keg, so you don't have to go to the store so often, um, and have fun.
Very efficient.
And right, I'm a very efficient kind of drinker myself. So I found myself in this loop of feeling something wrong, and yet doing exactly what I thought I should do to be okay or normal, and in the awarenesses garnered through sitting in the rooms, like, oh, what do I value? Oh, oh my God, there's all kinds of things I could now focus on, like my commitment, my capacity to commit. And even for me, when I first heard the word commitment, I didn't even know how to spell that damn word, let alone commit to. I was obligated to this decision I made. Your word is your bond. I said I do. So here I am stuck with no thought of proaction, of inclusiveness, of fulfillment. It's like, no, just get the job done. Quit your whining, get the job done. So my experience of broadened to what I could focus on or consider, contemplate. So, and the quality of my life has increased logarithmically based on these new awarenesses and capacity to focus on meaning of, like, what does my life mean? Oh, I have meaning because I'm participating in this process of creating inclusiveness in a society that I see, what do you call it, thrives on exclusiveness or difference. Oh my God, no. How do we be inclusive in our communication style? That's, oh my God, what a focus. It's like, and that brings to me all kinds of things that I never knew I even wanted. It's like, so that's another part of my quality of life has increased. I want to say logarithmically, in places I never considered would be important or to even consider. My relationship with my kids, my children, is always growing and rife with um, inclusiveness. And I actually have two kids, two children who actually like being around me. It's like I didn't even consider what they liked or didn't like it, but okay. So that's what we're talking about.
Well, it's interesting. I was just thinking
Some of these
that
conversations,
I was just thinking
some of these
about.
conversations. Go ahead. I want you to go.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking about how many of us get into recovery because the quality of our life sucks.
Yeah.
And so we even when we're in a place where we're not aware of this focus, the focusing power and the result of the focus, what happens when we
Right.
focus on a certain belief in our life or a certain experience, we're still aware of the quality, and
Yes.
we have this intuitive, I assume, intuitive capacity to let the quality of our lives lead us to a different focus, perhaps, for those of us who choose
Yes.
to use a low quality I don't have any love in my life. My job sucks. My bank account's empty. My health is poor, whatever. Low quality conditions can be the trigger for learning to create higher quality conditions in our lives. So that's
Mhm.
another power of this principle.
Yeah. Yeah. What I wanted to say is these principles um, unlock a field of dialogue that is huge, and we're doing our best to like make sense out of the quality of my life is based on the focus of my attention in a way that I hope creates curiosity in people who would like to consider this more or delve into all of these principles I see them as Zen koans. Like what do you mean? It starts a dialogue or it creates a focus. Like, what are you talking about? I'm looking right at you. What explain to me what you're talking about, because that doesn't make any sense to me, because it is about the other person.
Right.
Let me explain to you the other person, and then you'll see that it is the other person. Okay, let's talk. Let's have this dialogue. Let's open this space to something different, something new.
Well, you're giving a little hint to one of the principles that's further down on our list, which is that it doesn't have to make sense.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Well, as we come to wrap up here, I just want to reiterate to everybody that the accountability practice is practiced in group, and John and I both facilitate groups at different times of the week and the day, as well as our colleagues Dan and Rodney. And so, information on how you can participate in a group and take on learning to use these principles in your own life is at the end of the podcast. So we invite you to come to a meeting. They're all on Zoom, and just test it out for yourself. John and I can talk about it,
Yeah.
and nothing will shut us up. But the proof is in the eating and in the pudding, and so the only way to do that is to check it out yourself and take it on yourself. So you're invited to do that. John has been facilitating meetings for years and years and years, and so have I. So we've got some experience with this. So please feel free to join us. And so
Yeah.
before we sign off, John, any last minute words of wisdom or non wisdom?
No, the no, I don't have anything right now. It's good. I'm good. That's enough. I have created enough confusion, uh, which is cool because if you know you're confused, you want to like orientate and kind of get clarity. So let's
Right.
do this. Okay.
Well, and we invite people, if you'd like clarity on anything, leave a comment after the YouTube video on the YouTube page, and we'll do our best to answer it in the next video.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so also remember to like and subscribe to the YouTube Intentional Living channel, and we'll see you at the next one.